Free yarn. There aren't many signs that bring this much joy to a fiber artists. Fiber artist. Even better, it's from the last of the local fiber mills, now closed, alas. This yarn is coming home with me. I love the lumpy bumpiness of this, but I'm not so adventurous in my wardrobe. There's sure to be something in here, my treasure trove of handspun, that will calm things down while still respecting the joyful texture. So, what is my decision making here? Well, the free yarn doesn't feel right for warp, as the twist is inconsistent and the fat bits would abrade in the reed, and the low twist areas would drift apart if I rely on the loom to handle the yarn for me. Instead, I'm keeping this for weft, that's the human-handled yarn, and we'll pick something else for the warp. Working with these yarns, I am overwhelmed by a sense of happy melancholy, like I get looking at old family photographs. Here are yarns that represent my handspun journey. Locally dyed silks from my first fibre festival, nearly a quarter of a century past. Wool from my first bummer, a bottle-fed lamb, Larry. The last shearing of darling Tyrone, the rescue alpaca. He adored apples, but succumbed to old age only a few summers ago. Fibre from my friends, the places and events I have visited, and this mill-spun yarn, used to calibrate the spinning machines and containing fibres from who knows how many different farms. This project represents the local fibre landscape and community. No pressure. But it also symbolizes how much we have lost by not having a local mill anymore, and how much potential this community has to grow. Wowzers. Okay, that's a bit deep. But it looks like I'm ready to weave. For those who enjoy a bit of math, I chose 6-yard-long warp at 10 EPI, that's the density on the loom, and a 30-ish inch wide in the reed. These choices are for no other reason than it felt right, and I can always re-slay, that's change the density, of the fabric if it doesn't work. This log cabin design makes it easy to mix the yarn. It is a plain weave cloth, the simplest weave structure, alternating light and dark both for the warp and weft. The theory is that blending the yarn like this will mellow the high twist and texture of the yarn, thus creating a consistent cloth. For this project, I am weaving by instinct and letting the yarn make the decisions. I don't expect perfection, however, this philosophy allows me to capture the moment in the web of the cloth. And I want to catch as many different kinds of moments as I can, including those of the people who stop by. Be it just one shot or a difficulty prying them from the loom an hour later, each visitor added something of themselves to the cloth. When finished, I give it a wash in hot water, agitating just enough to help the yarns fluff up and cling together like best friends. There's a lot more texture or tracking than I expected, but I love it. It is squishy, like knit fabric. I am finally getting the feeling of what I'm going to make from it. I got this pattern from a SAORI weaving class. SAORI is a Japanese weaving school or philosophy from Osaka, and I learned a lot about embracing the moment in our weaving from those classes. The SAORI books have some awesome patterns for transforming hand-woven cloth into clothing, although sometimes it feels like origami more than sewing. This is either going to turn into a bird or a cardigan. The measurements given are close to my body size, so I only add an inch or so for ease. Now, to sew around the cut edges so they don't fray. As I sew, I have a creeping sense of doom. The goal of this project was to go with the flow, but would it really have killed my vibe to make a mock-up before cutting into my precious handwoven? If I've messed this up, I don't know how to fix it. Oh yeah. Times like this, I want to give up. I don't even know if I've made a mistake. It is several days before I gain the courage to find out. Let's figure out how this is supposed to fit together. Something feels wrong, and although my measurements match, the cloth does not match the picture. Okay, I'm ditching the instructions and going back to crafting by instinct. And instinct tells me I want 8 more inches, plus seam, plus hem. So I cut 2 more pieces, 10 inches long. I am sewing this by hand using wool yarn. It's more bother than using a sewing machine, but it feels like the right way to respect the squishy feel of the cloth. Although these flat felt seams are horribly bulky. The center back is the only other seam with 2 cut edges. With a generous seam allowance, I press the seam open and whip stitch the edges down. For the rest of the seams, we have the selvage. That's the sides of the woven cloth on the loom that don't fray, meeting a cut edge. So if I sew these seams with a running back stitch and then whip stitch the selvage over the cut side, should stop it from coming undone. Last, cut the triangles off the hand holes on these sleeves and then hem where needed. What do you think? I don't really know how I feel about this one. I adore the memory and the meaning of the cloth, but also it's a bit wild for my daily wardrobe, even if it is comfortable to wear. What I really want is to start hand weaving clothing that is comfortable to wear in public. I'm not sure I hit that target here yet.